Showtime! The Capital G show starts right now.
What's up YouTube? Capital G here. I'm talking archetypes in this video, and why shouldn't I? They're what drive the game, shape the competitive meta, and they're the heart of the anime series. This is why I've decided to rank the best of the best. Now I've decided to give top honors based on competitiveness, how iconic I think the archetype is, fanfare and fan following, and as an added stipulation, I've tried to represent all 6 major archetypes. So without further ado, this is the top 10 archetypes of all time, the Yu-Gi-Oh hierarchy. And if you don't see your favorite archetype on here, please don't hate me. I'm on your side, I promise. Number 10, Harpies, a deck that started out laughably bad and was more known for internet memes and abridged jokes than anything, such as Winged Robots Instructor, wasn't anything impressive before Lord of the Tachyon Galaxy. In fact, it was by far the least successful deck on this entire list, but that all changed when cards like Tempest, Harpy Chandler, and Historic Sign were introduced into the fold, giving the deck clear, consistent, potent XC plays. Since then, Harpies have recorded numerous regional top 8s. Number 9, Giorgia. So I had a tough time deciding between the 2 dominant machine-based decks in this game's history, Karakuri and Giorgia, but I chose Giorgia because I felt like the deck was more consistent of the 2, and of course it gave players what they had been wanting for years, a blue gadget. Giorgia is one of the many decks in Yu-Gi-Oh! That proves that the sum is greater than any of the parts. Every monster in this entire deck is pretty much useless, but when they all work together, recruiting each other, they transform into powerful XCs, and they prove that teamwork makes the dream work. Number 8, Dark World. I'm sure most of you probably shrieked just at the mention of the name. A deck with infamy that probably knows no equal makes this list not just because of competitive accomplishments, but for being one of the most hated decks of all time. I think it deserves recognition for that alone. Working only in conjunction with discard cards that discard not as a cost was very tricky at first, until many players realized that some of the most powerful cards of all time, cards like Card Destruction, Morphing Jar, and Graceful Charity, all fit the bill. Number 7, Firefist. One of the best removal archetypes of all time, is also one of the simplest. Revolving around Beast Warriors and the powerful Flame Dance cards that aid them in battle, Firefist started a Beast Warrior revolution unlike anything that this game had seen before. So much to the point, an argument could have been made that at one point in time, it was the strongest type in the entire game of Yu-Gi-Oh! Fun fact, did you know that the 7 Fire Formation cards, not counting Sato, actually represent the 7 stars in the Big Dipper? Bet you didn't know that. Number 6, Murmillo. As a person whose favorite Pokemon type was always water, I often wondered how long it was going to take for water to get a killer archetype. When Murmillo came out in Abyss Rising, my prayers were finally answered. An archetype comprised of some of the most ignored and niche types in the game, such as Sea Serpent, Fish, and Aqua, Konami did what I believe to be impossible. They scrapped that horrible idea of let's make everything water focused around Umi, and they built an entirely new archetype from the ground up, revolving around the popular discard mechanic, and ended up making at one point the game's best deck. Number 5, Black Wings. Fast, aggressive, and controlling, Konami knocked it out of the park with this beloved archetype that nobody has anything bad to say about ever. Black Wings are probably the best in a very long line of powerful and amazing dark-based decks, and it's because at their prime, they really didn't have any weaknesses. Beaters, speed, power, the ability to OTK, and of course, no reliance on special summoning. Blackwing's popularity at one point reached such an astronomical level that Konami deemed it unhealthy for the game and levied bandless hits against the deck to near extinction. Number 4, Six Samurai. Probably the most reckless, aggressive deck on the entire list. Samurais rush, and they do it oh so well. I'm convinced that Six Samurai were designed to be an archetype that encourages and blatantly acknowledges its overextensive ways. Look no further than Double-Edged Sword Technique for proof of that. When they first became a dominant force in the meta right after Phantom Darkness was released, they stole a Shonen Jump title by summoning a bunch of samurais, then throwing down Chin and saying, "Fuck your spell and traps." A few years later, Konami completely reinvented the archetype, which of course resulted in them stealing a YCS title by summoning a bunch of 6 samurai, then throwing down Shi-An and saying, "Fuck your spell and traps." Number 3, Lightsworn. So who the hell thought that basing an entire mechanic of an archetype around probability was a good idea? Regardless, enter Lightsworn, the most dominant light-based deck in this game's history. When you lose the Lightsworn, you don't just feel bad, you feel like God hates you, and that's because if your opponent didn't mill that 4th name or the Wolf or the Necro Gardener, you probably would have won. armed with what is commonly referred to as the best boss monster in the entire game of Yu-Gi-Oh! In Judgment Dragon. Lightsworn is a deck that takes both the opponent and the pilot on a wild and volatile ride, as neither really knows what's going to happen next. Number 2, Gladiator Beasts. The greatest toolbox the game has ever known, takes the number 2 spot on this list. Despite having no direct affiliation with the Yu-Gi-Oh! Anime or mangas, Glads have a fan following that rival any deck in the game. This comes as no surprise considering in the 2007 Glad format, the deck won 6 straight Shonen Jumps, United States and Canadian Nationals, as well as Worlds. Gladiator Beasts are pretty much like a Swiss Army knife of Yu-Gi-Oh! Having the requisite tool via monster effect for any situation that the deck is put in, as well as some of the best fusion monsters to ever be released in the game. This all combined with one of the most unique mechanics in the game, the tag in, tag out, make this deck truly worthy of the grace of Caesar himself. Honorable mentions include Prophecy, Infernity, and Gravekeepers. And finally, number 1, Heroes, Elemental, Destiny, and Mass. Being the entire focus around the Yu-Gi-Oh! GX anime as fan favorites, and of course the most iconic in game history, made Heroes an easy pick for the number 1 spot no matter what variety you side with. Destiny Heroes for years were the biggest factor in shaping the competitive meta, being the backbone of decks like Perfect Circle Monarchs, Teledad, and Diamond Dude Turbo, while Elemental Heroes did have to wait and take a back seat until anti-meta versions popped up everywhere and started to win events, which soon evolved into a fusion-based beatdown deck, mainly thanks to Miracle Fusion. Even after a competitive hiatus, Konami shows that the fans love Heroes now as much as they ever did. With new support looking to take the deck back to the top of the game, I don't think anybody is surprised that Heroes are the number 1 spot on this list. So, thank you guys for watching as always. If there are any decks or archetypes that you felt like I missed, please leave that in the comment section below. And look out for more top 10s. Subscribing makes life happy.